We've got another meeting for that. Okay, we're currently recording, and I will just admit everyone from the lobby.
And let me know when to start.
You can start.
Welcome to the public meeting of Northern Beaches Local Planning Panel. My name is Annalise Tour and I'm the panel chair today. The other panel members are Cara Cranson and Marcy Doheny as expert members, and the community representative is Nick Lawther. Before we begin the meeting, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands and pay my respects to elders past and present. The panel has adopted public meeting guidelines, which are published on Council's website and provide more information about the operation of the panel. Importantly, the panel has been briefed on each item on today's agenda by Council staff prior to the meeting and undertaken site inspections either independently or electronically. Today we have people registered to address the panel at the public meeting. The order of speakers for each item will be firstly objectors, followed by those supporting the application, including the applicant or their representative. A registered speaker will have 3 minutes to speak, whereupon a bell will ring. Any extension may be granted at my discretion as chair. The panel has been provided with copies of all submissions received in response to the public exhibition of the application and forwarded copies of all late correspondence. Therefore, there is no need for speakers to repeat in detail points made in your written submissions. Speakers should use respectful language. Defamatory or rude language will not be tolerated. At the end of our oral submissions, panel members may have questions of speakers to clarify our understanding of what has been said. Public meetings are video and audio recorded. The recordings will be published on Council's website after the meeting. Once all speakers in relation to all items on the agenda have finished, I will close the public meeting and the panel will move into closed session to deliberate and determine all matters on the agenda. The panel's determinations and reasons will be published on Council's website as soon as possible, normally within 2 working days. So in relation to the agenda, the first item deals with conflict of interest. Panel is bound by the Code of Conduct for Local Planning Panel members approved by the Minister for Planning. As required by the Code, panel members must sign a declaration disclosing whether they have conflicts of interest in relation to any matters on the agenda. After the meeting, the declarations will be published on Council's website. I can confirm that no member of the panel has declared a conflict of interest in relation to any item on today's agenda. Item 2 is the minutes of the previous meeting, and the panel notes that the minutes of the meeting held on the 7th of February were adopted by the chair of that meeting and have been posted on Council's website. I'll now call for the first item on the agenda, which is in the modification application in relation to 22 Jubilee Avenue, Warriewood. And we have no objectors wishing to speak, and we have nobody representing the applicant in relation to that item. So there's no speakers for that. Item 4.2 is the DA for 1 Harwood Place, Warriewood. And we have an objector, Albert Fensky of 12 Hunter Street South. If you're there, Mr. Fensky.
Thank you.
All right, you can start now.
Good afternoon. Our initial objection submission included concerns about several windows that will be facing our property, which were partly addressed and will be glazed for privacy. However, we note that bedroom 3's windows, window 104 and window 105, most floors receiving large windows were not in the report.
Is that background behind you, Mr. Finsky? Could everyone else please turn off mute themselves? Because otherwise we get interference. Mr. Thorson, I think it could be you. Heidi, can you mute Mr. Thorson?
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you're causing disturbance. Okay. All right, sorry, Mr. Fensky, if you could just continue. That time will be taken out of your 3 minutes so that you.
Do I need to start from the beginning?
We did hear you. I think you were saying about your concerns in relation to bed 3, bed window 104 and 105.
No worries, I'll continue there. However, we note that bedroom 3's windows, window 104 and 105, both floor-to-ceiling large windows, were not addressed in the report. These windows provide direct views of our private spaces, including the swimming pool, deck area, living room, and kitchen. Therefore, we strongly request that window 104 and window 105 be made opaque and glazed for privacy. Additionally, we address window 107, a floor-to-ceiling window located in the master walk-in row. This window, due to its elevated level, will be visible from our main bedroom, further compromising our privacy. The amended neighbours report does not indicate any shading or privacy adjustments to any windows mentioned in the assessment report for privacy. We ask that the neighbours report be amended with the correct glazing specs. Now, objection extends to the proposed removal of tree 11. Removing this tree will expose our habitable rooms, further compromising our privacy and quality of life. Moreover, we strongly object to the removal of the group of trees named G1. The term part of a group of trees to be retained used in the assessment report is vague, as there are 8 trees in this group and we are not sure how many will be retained. However, the arborist report clearly states on page 13 that the whole group will be removed. This is a contrast. This group of 8 native trees, all standing approximately 5 meters in height and covering an area of 15 meters, play a vital role in maintaining our privacy from not only our neighbor, but also the views from the elevated street and neighbors across. Furthermore, no site visit from council was conducted on our property to assess the impact from our side. Therefore, we strongly urge the Planning Committee to reconsider our window privacy concerns, the removal of both tree 11 and the group of trees, and to ensure that the appropriate measures are taken to address our concerns regarding the privacy of our property. Thank you for your attention to these critical matters.
Thank you. I'll just see if there's any questions from panel members. Any questions?
Not from me, no.
No. All right, thank you. So then on behalf of the applicant, we have Dave Moody.
Good afternoon, Chair and panel. Thanks for the opportunity to talk. I was just going to focus on the privacy issues that were raised and specifically on DA condition 14, which was drafted up to address those privacy conditions. The condition appears somewhat onerous when compared to the assessment provided within the assessment report and also when compared with council's own planning controls. There's a few site conditions I'd like to highlight. The fact is that these north-facing windows, they're the primary source of sunlight for the property from that highly sought-after orientation. The concerns in relation to privacy, they've been raised from a corner allotment, which ensures that their rear boundary adjoins the side boundary of my client's property. The orientation of the two lots ensures that the ability to restrict overlooking of the rear yard through building layout is somewhat restricted due to the inevitable proximity of their private open space to the proposed development. The subject windows, they're narrow and they're limited to bedroom and bathroom windows. And I note the planning principle relating to privacy in Merritton versus Sydney Council, which states that overlooking from a living area is more objectionable than overlooking from a bedroom, where people tend to spend less waking time. Finally, I note the existing dwelling on the subject site currently contains north-facing windows at first floor level from a bedroom and an ensuite looking onto the adjoining property at number 12. Now, in terms of the assessment report, I know that the windows all were assessed by the assessment officer and the following comment was provided on page 5. The north-facing windows on the upper ground floor, 103 and 106, are bathroom and ensuite windows, which are to be glazed for privacy. The bedroom windows, 103A and 105, face north towards 12 Hunter Street and are to be glazed for privacy. The first floor windows, 107, 108 and 109, which relates to the master bedroom, do not directly face 12 Hunter Street. So firstly, we have no objection to installing privacy measures to the bathroom and ensuite. It's my understanding that the owner of the property is looking to do that either way. But the assessment confirms that the north-facing windows to the master bedroom do not directly face 12 Hunter Street. Now, when combined with the use of the room, which is a bedroom, the narrow nature of the windows, and the distance of these proposed windows from the existing windows on the southern facade of 12 Hunter Street, which ranges from 8.8 metres to 10.81 metres, the potential privacy impacts are not unreasonable, and we do not consider that privacy measures are required. Furthermore, as noted by the assessment officer, these master bedroom windows are orientated towards 10 Hunter Street, who have raised no objection to the proposed development. And I note the existing evidence of mature vegetation in tree 09 and tree 10, which are located on this adjoining property and will maintain some level of existing privacy. Finally, I note that these narrow bedroom windows, they've been located so that they are tucked into the corners of the rooms, or they're adjoining built-in robes. So again, it's a further reduction in the potential for privacy impacts. Specifically, window 104, it's set in an alcove and it acts as an architectural feature. It's a light well. So at first floor level, you can't immediately stand adjoining that window. It's providing a light well down to ground floor below. In terms of council's DCP controls in relating to privacy, the privacy treatment requirements are as follows. Fixed translucent glazing to any part below 1.7 metres above floor level, or solid translucent screens or perforated panels which have a maximum 25% opening. So we would like to see draft condition 14 clarified to require screening or privacy devices to any part of the window below 1.7 metres, rather than the current wording which requires opaque glazing for the entirety of the window. We request that this privacy treatment only applies to bathroom 1 and ensuite, which is windows 103 and 106, and 105 in bedroom 3, which we acknowledge directly faces the objector's dwelling. Furthermore, we wish to remove any requirements for privacy measures to the master bedroom due to the fact that they do not directly face 12 Hunter Street. It relates to the use as a bedroom. And from the planning principle, we acknowledge that people tend to spend less waking time in these rooms. The degree and distance from any windows at 12 Hunter Street is also a factor. For the same reasons outlined for the master bedroom, we'd also request no privacy measures to be required for bedroom 2 either. Therefore, we request that the condition be amended to read as follows. Condition 14, north window glazing. Windows 103, 105 and 106 on the northern elevation are to be treated with obscure glazing / privacy screening to any part of the window below 1.7 metres above ground floor only. So again, we stress we're only looking to have that imposed for windows 103, 105 and 106. Thank you.
Thank you. Just clarifying, did you have any comments in relation to the landscaping concerns that were raised by the objector?
I didn't comment on them because it's my understanding that the trees to be removed fall under exempt development either way, and which was picked up by council's landscape officer. So no, I wasn't going to make any comment on the landscaping. My understanding that tree 11 is not being removed, it's on the adjoining property. Do you know that? Correct. Trees 10, so no, tree 9 and 10 are on the adjoining property and they're not proposed for removal. And what about 11, do you know? Tree 11 is on our property. Mm. And is it been retained or removed? It's proposed to be removed. Okay. But again, my understanding was the trees were falling under exempt, so I haven't touched on them. I've left that to the landscape officer and the arborist. All right. Any other questions from panel members?
Just one small question. The bedrooms in the master bedroom, I believe, are 108, 109?
It is 107, which relates to the walk-in robe, and then the actual master bedroom element, correct, it's 108 and 109. Yep.
So whereas they are somewhat oblique in their view of the house at number 12, they do look directly into the private space, garden space of number 12. Would that be a reasonable comment?
Correct. Yes, there's no avoiding that with the orientation of the lots.
Yeah.
Chair, can I just ask a question about
Yes.
Mr. Moody? You referred to one of the windows which acts as a light well. Can you just say that one again, please?
It's window 104 in bedroom 3. So it's set in an alcove. You can't actually stand immediately adjoining that window and look out it. It's a light well down to the ground level below to access that northern sunlight.
Thank you. I didn't have any other questions. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Clara, do you have any questions?
Sorry.
No.
Only window 108. I'm just looking at the north elevation. Is that recessed, or is that a similar light well type window configuration like 104? I can't see the dimensions of the window.
Yeah, it's not a light well like 105. That's just a narrow window in the master bedroom.
So what's the height of that window 108? Is that full height or? Let's see. Oh, sorry, I'm only looking at the elevations. I haven't got time to go
It's
to the.
2.7.
The height's about 2.7.
2.7. Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
There are no other questions. That concludes that matter. Then we'll move on to the DA for 2/34 Campbell Avenue, Cromer. We have no objectors, and on behalf of the applicant, we have William Fleming and Phil Thorson. So, Mr.
Yes.
Fleming, you're speaking, taking the lead on this one. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm here with Phil, who is the owner of the unit, to support Council's recommendation of approval for the alterations and additions and changes to the existing use as a sex service premises. The alterations and additions will significantly improve the amenity of the premises and also increase the safety and security for both patrons and staff. The changes to the use have been assessed by Council and referred to the New South Wales Police, and they have provided recommendations for the safety and security, which form part of the consent conditions. And we raised no objection to the consent conditions either. We've also provided an updated plan of management, so we feel the new outcome is a better outcome than the previous approval. So we hope that the panel will endorse Council's recommendation, and Phil and I are happy to answer any questions that the panel may have.
Thank you. Any questions from panel members?
I might just ask a quick question, and that is about the hours of operation becoming 24/7. And this is really to do with, is that, I'm not going to say appropriate, is that, do you actually get customers coming all through the 24 hours a day? Is really my question. So does that midnight to 7 or whatever it was, so really amount to anything?
It is probably unlikely to have, people rocking up at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, but we know that there are people who work outside of normal business hours that may want to access these services, and we would have minimal staff there in those early hours anyway. But it's just there for anybody who might need or want those services in those, outside of those traditional hours.
Can I just add there's some people with special needs as well that I've been told that may well call up and need some assistance in certain different hours of operation. But the 24/7 is not necessarily they're going to be actively working there throughout the whole time.
So let's refer to special needs. So you're satisfied, let's say, for disabled parking, if that was a matter?
Yes.
And how would that be accommodated?
We've actually added extra parking into this facility now, an extra space that's not required, but we've put another extra space in there.
And that space is can accommodate disabled parking, can it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Other questions?
Yes, I've just got a question relating to the disabled service room 5. That room doesn't show a shower and basin on the plan. Is it proposed that, like the other rooms, that would also be provided in that room?
Yes, I think we are proposing shower and a basin in there. Yeah, just like the other standard rooms, that will include that as well.
Okay. And in terms of the number of staff, I could see in the conditions, I think it's maximum of 4 workers and 2 management staff. There are 5 client rooms shown on the plans, but the proposal is for 4 worker staff. Is that to just allow some rotation and cleaning? That's why it's not 5?
Some of those ground floor rooms won't realistically be operated in unless it's a special needs person who cannot access the higher levels. So I suppose for cleaning, it's not as busy as what you may well think. The upstairs would be mostly used. The downstairs is realistically for people having a hard time accessing any stairs to get up.
Okay. Thank you.
I think there were some concerns about the adequacy of the plan of management, just linking the operation of the facility in the operational conditions to an updated plan of management that perhaps was a bit more comprehensive, and also potentially putting in an additional condition in relation to the hours of operation, because I think they're at the moment just within the plan of management, but not in the conditions of consent. And we're also looking at how the 2 consents that like the existing consent that you've got and then this proposed consent, how they operate together, and just seeing that there's making sure there's no inconsistency. So
I understand one of the conditions of consent has sort of reinforced the previous conditions of consent to say that they are still valid. And just with the plan of management, was there anything specific in there that you wanted or weren't meeting your standard?
Cara, do you want to outline that?
Yeah. Maybe a little bit more information about security, for instance, and we've now got a copy of that police referral letter that is, I think, identified in draft condition 2. But just, I mean, you might even want to talk us through, like, what do you have in place in terms of security measures? How do you use, if there is an incident, what is the procedure that you follow? Do you have a private security company that you have access to or use, or is it contact with the police? I know a lot of different establishments have different procedures, but I've seen a lot of plan of managements that go into those procedures in a little bit more detail than what yours provides at the moment.
So,
Right.
I'll just say the entry of there's been rooms built so that the people can be identified before they enter they can come into the premises, but they can't enter completely into the premises. It's all video recorded throughout the whole premises as well as on entry and within the premises as well. But the security would be around police being called. And rooms are isolated so that if there's a patron that comes in intoxicated or mouthing off, won't be allowed full access into the premises, and the downstairs floor creates that space for security.
Is it the entry area rather than the reception area?
Well, that entry reception, that's sort of, they've got to be a 2-step process for them to be actually allowed entry into the facility.
Right.
So they sort of have to be viewed and spoken to before they will thoroughly involve them into the premises at all.
Right.
Does that?
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes. Yes. I do. Yeah. And I mean, the plans, they show showers in each room. They show WCs and basins in some rooms within the establishment. Where it just says shower, is it also the intention to have a basin in each room as well, each client room?
No, there wasn't. I thought I might have issues with consent from Strata, allowing that into the sewer. We were allowed access for another toilet downstairs, and that was to allow for disabled people for bigger access, because the bathroom downstairs previously is quite, well, it's not narrow, but with someone with a wheelchair or having difficulties accessing would find it difficult in those circumstances. We were thinking about putting something upstairs, but I mean, how far do you go? There's never been a need for it in the past, and putting an actual extra bathroom in there for disabled persons to access that with greater ease just made more sense than adding more bathroom toilets and hand basins.
You're referring to service room 5, are you?
Downstairs, yes.
Yeah. And that not having a basin in each room, does that meet all the statutory requirements of New South Wales Health and any relevant standards in that regard?
I believe so, but I'm not 100. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't 100% know, but I believe that's correct.
I mean, we will have to meet the BCA requirements to get our occupation certificate. So, you know, those sort of details will come later. If we need a basin, we'll have to put it in.
It is typical in a number of other DCPs, councils that have DCPs in terms of this particular use. It is standard, so I just wondered if that was coming from the standards or not. But yeah, we can review the conditions in that regard to make sure it's cross-referenced.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay. So that concludes the public part of the agenda. As I said in my opening, the public meeting will now be closed and the panel will deliberate and make our decisions. Our decisions and our reasons for our decisions will be placed on Council's website probably within 2 working days. So thank you very much for attending, and the public part of the agenda is terminated at 12:29.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.